Good morning to anyone who is watching and joining us for Prayerful Meditation. We are going to follow our normal shita, our normal style, which is to begin with some familiar warm-up meditations, and then we will move into our focused meditation for today. For today, as we are in the parashat of Shemot, where Moses encounters God at the burning bush, and we are exposed to God's essence in the name Yud-He Vav-He, we are going to do a focused meditation on God directly, that is to say, on God's nature, God's essence. We are going to be focusing primarily on trying to wrap our mind, trying to wrap our emotions, our spirit around the notion that God is not like us, that God is very, very different. But that is hard, and I don't expect it to be 100% successful, because we are limited human beings and God is an unlimited, God. So we will do our best and see what we can make of that experience. But we will begin, as I mentioned, with our usual warm-ups for our meditation. And once again, if you're not familiar with what we do, these are all selections taken from our tefillot, from our prayer. And just as a reminder that even though we spend more time with them here and allow them to sit and to settle within our spirit so that we can experience them more deeply, these are all benchmarks and milestone markers throughout our tefillot, and can have the same effect when put into the prayers as well as taken out. So please do not see this as being a replacement for tefillot in general. See this instead as being a deepening of the prayer experience that can be shared in all of our prayer time. Make sure that you are sitting comfortably. That means neither too slouched, allowing your body to collapse, nor too rigid, forcing your body to be in an uncomfortable posture. God designed us physically so that our bodies could be at rest while neither collapsing under their weight nor needing every muscle to hold ourselves up. Finding that midpoint, that natural resting posture is one of the keys to not only meditation but to life. To recognize that there is a point of balance that allows us to stand, to sit, to be, that does not require additional effort and also does not cause additional pain because of our collapse. This is the goal. But it begins ultimately inside and out and throughout, beyond the limits of the body. It begins with our neshama, it begins with our soul, it begins with that breath that animates us, gives us life, that brings energy into us, fuel that allows everything else in our body to happen. This intangible neshama, this intangible spirit, is at the essence of our being and is the permanent and unchanging part of us. It is created pure. It is created without flaw or blemish, and nothing we do can harm it. We may occlude it, we may cover it, we may ignore it, but it remains pure and shining as a gift from God. And so we begin with this reminder. Eloi, Eloi, Neshama, Neshama, Shanata Tabi, Shanata Tabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Oh my God, oh my God, the soul that you placed in me, that you placed in me, it is pure, Neshama, the soul, Shenatatabi, that you placed in me, Tehorahi, it is pure. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatatabi, Shenatatabi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. We move from focusing on ourself. We move using that thread, that strand of shimmering light that is our neshama, our soul, following it outside of ourselves, following it back to its source, back to the one that spoke this world into creation, back to the one from which all souls and all life and all of the universe originates. We follow that line back and recognize the truth of this created world. We are not mere accidents. We are not mere collections of atoms. We are the children of the one that spoke, and the world came into being. This is the one that is the source of all blessing. As we say, Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu. Blessed is the one that spoke, and the world came to be. Blessed is the one. Allow yourself to put your breathing into rhythm with this idea. At Baruch she'amar, we inhale, allowing ourselves to be full completely. We hold that breath as we think through that process of creation, the expectation of what would come. V'haya ha'olam, the next phrase, we continue to hold the breath, feeling within it that tension of a world filled with potential, a world filled with God's spirit and energy. And Baruch hu, we allow our breath to be released in blessing and praise of Adonai. We allow that breath to escape us. It is no good trapped within us. The realization of God and us together in tandem should drive us to allow what we have taken to leave, what we have taken to pour forth back into this world. And then we pause, allow our breathing to stop. Nothing in, nothing left to give. Without stress or panic, without tension or ache. And in time, we begin again. Baruch she'amar, v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu. Baruch she'amar, v'haya ha'olam. Baruch hu. Baruch she'amar, v'haya ha'olam. Baruchu. Baruch She'amar. V'haya ha'olam. Baruchu. Baruch She'amar. V'haya ha'olam. Baruchu. Baruch She'amar. V'haya ha'olam. Baruch Hu. Continue at your own pace. This rhythm of breathing reminds us that in our essence and nature we are in sync with all that God has made. At times we may feel out of balance. At times we may feel disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from God. But the flow of the universe is in us, and we are bound together. The entire world breathes and exhales in rhythm with its creation, in rhythm with its creator. Joining together, they give song, praise. We each are chosen instruments of celebration, of music, creating beauty in this world. Our life an essential part of the orchestra, playing the symphony of all creation. At the end of the Book of Psalms, we find its final line. After all the words have been said, Kol ha-neshama t'halleluya. Hallelujah. Let every breath, let all that breathes, let all that is animate with God's Spirit give praise to Yah, one of the sacred names of Adonai. Hallelujah. Give praise to God. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol anshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, kol anshamat hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol anshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, kol anshamat hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol anshamot hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol anshamot hallelujah, hallelujah. But for all of our incredible diversity, variety, for all the differences that are between us, each playing our part, each giving our own voice to the symphony of this world, we are conducted by one, Echad. We are united in the one that brings us and gives us the music to sing. And so the Shema became the most iconic of all of Jewish sentences, calling out to each other, Shema Yisrael, listen, Israel, hearken, obey, understand, O people. Adonai Eloheinu. It is Adonai, the Yud He Vav He, that is our God. Not some petty idol, not some natural phenomenon, not some imagining of our own eyes, not some creation of our own hand, but Adonai, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, that which is because it is, what has been is and will continue to be, that source of all of creation, of all of existence, the ultimate be, the ultimate form of existing, and beyond all understanding in this world. Adonai Echad, this Adonai, this Yud He Vav He, is one. Not merely one among many, not merely one allowing the thought of a second, but of such oneness that there can be no conception of a second, of such oneness that there can be no thinking of an end, of such oneness that there can be no beginning and no end, of such oneness that comparison is meaningless. This is what we mean when we say Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Adonai Echad, we say. God is one. Adonai Echad, we believe. God is one. We answer Adonai Echad to all of the mysteries of God's existence. It is in the oneness that we find the fullest understanding of God. Adonai Echad. Our ancestors would scream at the shore of the sea, Mi kamocha, who is like you? But none is like Adonai, for Adonai is Echad. Our ancestors would wonder, Ma domelach, what can compare to you? But none can compare, for the oneness of God is without parallel, creating the oneness of God. Adonai Echad. We would be taught, Eino guf. God has no body, no form. For how can God be one and yet contained in a form? No matter how large, no matter how perfect or beautiful, a form is limited, bound by the edges of its shape. Eino guf, God has no body or form. For God is one. Adonai Echad. Lo avlata bo, and thus God has no flaws. Only in the physical form, only in the division, the separation of one part for another, can we find the fissures that create flaws. Can we find the cracks that allow for imperfection. But God has no flaw, because Adonai Echad, God is one. Ein Sof, the mystics would say. Ein Sof, there is no end. Without form, without body, there can be no end, no border to God. God's oneness is all-encompassing and beyond the limits of this known universe. Adonai Echad. Ein Od. There is no other. Ein Od, there is no more. God's oneness and perfection demands that there can be nothing that is equal. For were there to be an equal, a rival, then God would not be perfect. Only an unrivaled single unity without division can perfection be found, can we encounter God. Adonai Echad. Bli Reshit. God has no beginning. All things in this world, in time, begin. They have their origin, even the universe itself. But Adonai, Bli Reshit, Adonai is without a beginning, existing beyond and before any such thing as time was created. Bli Tachlit, and God is without end. Without beginning and without end, God stands beyond the limits of this world. God exists outside of the time created within this space. Hu Haya, Hu Hoveh. God is as God was. God is as God was and continues to be. God will be as God is. God does not change. Hu Yeh Betif Ara. God will always be as God is, in glory and splendor. God is unchanging. For to change would be to move from less perfect to perfect, or from perfect to imperfect. The God who stood with Abraham was the same that stood with Moses, is the same that stands with us, and is the same who stands in the future. God is, always, and will be one. Adonai Echad. Bashamayim, in the heavens above and beyond. Adonai Echad. Uva'aretz, and on the world below, here on earth. Adonai Echad. God is the same in heaven and on earth. As I repeat through these phrases with shorter explanation and retranslation, respond Adonai Echad to each as we try to grasp this singular oneness beyond our experience. Mi kamocha, who is like you, God? Adonai Echad. Ma domelach, what can compare to you, God? Adonai Echad. Eino guf, God has no form or body. Adonai Echad. Lo avlatabo, God has no flaw. Adonai Echad. Ein sof, God has no end or limit. Adonai Echad. Ein od, there is no beyond, no more, no other. Adonai Echad. Bli reshit, God is without a beginning. Adonai Echad. Beli tachlit, God is without an end. Adonai Echad. Hu haya, hu hoveh, God is as he was. God is as he is. Adonai Echad. Hu yihyeh betifara, God will be as he is. God will be in glory and splendor. Adonai Echad. Bashamayim, in the heavens, Adonai Echad. Uva'aretz, and on earth, Adonai Echad. It is hard for us to understand. We are but tiny children gazing up at the vastness of the world and trying to see through it, through the lens of creation, to the one that created. All is twisted and distorted. All is covered and shaded by our imaginations. We have so many words, so many ideas, so many qualities, adjectives, nouns that we throw into the world to try and grasp hold of the concept of Adonai. Each is a small ladder, each a small rope allowing us to hold, to cling, to have some purchase. But each can also be a stumbling block. Each can be a snare. When we confuse them with the reality of God's oneness beyond comprehension. And so each of them we take in turn, and then each we allow to be left behind, leaving a feeling of connection, but no after-image from this world to muddy our conception of God. God is wise. God is merciful. God is loving. God is strong. But that wisdom, that mercy, that love, that strength, they are not God. They are but words we use to try and describe the indescribable. Words we try to speak, to say the ineffable. Allow them to drift away. Hold on to that which you aimed at them, which you aimed them at. Hold on to the feeling of splendor and awe. But recognize that there are limits and they fall short of God. God has glory. God has power. God stretches across the world. God is the Creator, the Master, the Lord of all. But all these words evoke the thoughts of this world. What is master but one who has power over another? What is the Lord of all but one who sits on a throne issuing orders that must be obeyed? But God has no body to sit on a throne. God does not stand, arms folded, looking with scorn upon those that serve. God is beyond those concepts. Even the word as creator makes us think only of one with hammer and chisel in hand, with saw or paintbrush. And though God has made this world, it is not with such implements as these. It is simply by God's existence. It is simply by God's essence and nature. God is our rock. God is our stronghold. God is the Lord of hosts, the Redeemer. He is the healer. But all of these words, they focus us so much on this world. They can continue to anchor us here, to give us strength, to give us the ability to move on, to give us hope. And for this we are grateful, and we use and treasure them. But ultimately the words describe us more than God. God evokes this in us, but God is not constrained by them. Notein HaTorah, God, you have given us the Torah, the most precious of all of your gifts, even more dear than life itself, for life without instruction is but chaos. Notein HaTorah, giver of Torah, we understand that the Torah was given to and for us. It reflects your beauty and essence, but you are beyond even the limits of this superlative gift. You transcend all that we know. And for this, we humbly stand before you in awe. And we give thanks, we give praise, and we are grateful. Adonai Echad. We are left dumbstruck, able to say only these few words. Adonai Echad. May they guide us towards you. May they guide us through your Torah. Adonai Echad. May we hold on to you. Adonai Echad. Please allow yourself a few moments to relax, to clear your mind. Take a few slow and steady breaths. When you are ready, please continue with our Shabbat services. If you are at home, The camera should switch automatically in just a couple minutes. Shabbat Shalom.